Welcome to the Weather Insights briefing. I'm meteorologist Scott Pitney along with meteorologist Jeff Lindner, and it is the afternoon of Tuesday, October 29th. And Jeff, that's something we haven't seen for a while. We actually have some rain in the forecast, not just for Texas, but other dry areas. Oklahoma, they've had some fire issues up there. So I know everybody's happy to see this rain. Hopefully the severe weather that is also possible, we'll take a look at that in a little bit, will be friendly to us as we progress to the next several days. But that high pressure that's been dominating the middle part of the United States finally moved off to the east. Now we're getting some onshore flow, bringing the moisture back into the area. And then, of course, with moisture, you need something to trigger it. And that's what we have. We have a front approaching the area. We've got some cyclogenesis and a low development in Colorado that's going to move from west to east and bring a front with it. Of course, most of the energy is going to be confined to that center Oklahoma area, and then the southern part, the tail end of that front, getting less rain. But at least everybody's got a chance for rain, and we'll see a kind of a rainy pattern over the next several days. Here's the infrared satellite. You see a trough out in the Gulf, stretching across to the Atlantic. We'll talk about the tropics here in a second. Not much really going on there, but we do have some tropical season left. And then, but the main story is that front that's going to be coming down, bringing lots of folks that need the rain a chance of rain over the next several days into next week.
Yeah, you can see the trough here in the Intermountain West, and you can see the southwesterly flow coming out into the plains now. So this is kind of a classic spring, or in this case, fall setup. You can see the moisture coming in here into Texas, southerly winds, gusty southerly winds today. And as you mentioned, fires right now around the Oklahoma City area, significant fires. And hopefully they'll get into this rain tonight. It looks like this front's gonna, you can just look at the storm system. It's moving more off to the north and east than east. And so the front is going to get down in here probably on Thursday afternoon and evening, Halloween. And it's not going to have a lot of push, just kind of wash out. So we're not looking at any cooler temperatures or any big cool down. It's going to get a little bit cooler just because it's going to be cloudy and a little rainy. But we're not going to get rid of the humidity or anything like that. And what I did pull up just to kind of talk a little bit about the rain, we just showed this map, and this is the average of a lot of the global forecast models and then the human input into this. And anywhere from 1 to maybe 2 inches of rain across southeast Texas. Again, this is through the next 7 days, so this goes through the weekend and also goes into next week. And it looks like we will continue with the wet pattern into next week. But what I did is looked at the shorter range models, and this is really for tomorrow into Thursday and maybe a little bit of Friday, and this is for Intercontinental Airport. And so this kind of gives you an idea of your kind of your upper end bound here, maybe your worst case scenario for rainfall, and that's anywhere from about 1.5 inches to maybe 1.75 inches. So that's about it. We're not talking about a big drought buster, but we're talking about, that's kind of the high end. The black line here is the average, and you can see it's hovering closer to 1/2 inch or even a little bit less than 1/2 inch. And so I don't want to get everybody's hopes way up here that this is going to end the drought that's developing in Texas. It's going to help. The other question is, how widespread is this? Is it more spotty? Do certain areas pick up a little bit more than others? I think areas along 45 and east maybe have a little bit of a better potential for some rainfall. The further west you get, it gets a little drier, and you kind of see that in the QPF analysis here, the rainfall forecast. As you get back down towards the Matagorda Bay area, Victoria, and down into South Texas, we're talking generally less than 1 inch of rain, with the higher amounts up towards the north. And so we'll see how this goes over the next couple of days. But the good news is it's not just a 0% chance and record highs, which we've dealt with for much of this month. And I don't think October is going to end with zero rain. We've had no rain for the entire month. I don't think it's going to make it. We have decent shot tomorrow and also on Halloween. And we'll talk a little bit more about Halloween, but I think trick-or-treating on Halloween will probably be okay. You might have some scattered showers out there, but I don't think it's going to be a big washout.
Yeah, I had in my forecast just have an umbrella handy, better chance of rain. I think early in the part of the day, at least that's what the GFS. The HER really hadn't caught up yet. It might be now though. We're about 48 hours out from Halloween, but I think the HER is going to tell us a lot more as far as timing. But still, I think carry an umbrella with you on Halloween night. And yesterday was kind of a bust for my local forecast. I didn't have any chance of rain, and we actually got some streamer showers just west of Houston Metro yesterday. So that was kind of interesting, and I'm sure it was welcome. In fact, one spot rained kind of hard. It was a small area, but that's the kind of pattern we'll see. Maybe today. I haven't looked at the radar recently, but through tomorrow through Wednesday, and then we've got this front coming. And here is the convective outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. We have now an enhanced risk for severe weather starting in northern Oklahoma through the eastern part of Kansas, just touching on the northwestern part of Missouri. And that is primarily hail. Of course, tornadoes can never be ruled out, but large hail damaging winds are the main threats there. And then we have a slight risk for areas in that yellow area outside of the enhanced area, and then marginal risk all the way down into central Texas, and that marginal risk extending up into Wisconsin. So a fairly large area there for the possibility of severe weather. And then there is the that black hatched area with it, which is the wind probability. Let's see. Help me out with that, Jeff. That
It's the
black hatched
tornado.
area.
It's the tornado hash. So this is,
Oh, that's tornado.
yeah, it's a 10% tornado threat within 25 miles of the point within that black hashed area there. So pretty much eastern, what is it? Eastern Kansas. Be on the lookout as that front dry line come out.
Yeah. So kind of a spring-like weather pattern with this particular funnel system, and that's what we'll see in the month of November. Some call it the short severe weather season or the second severe weather season, but it is fairly short. But it does happen in November, and this is the beginning of it with this system right here.
Yeah, and so this is the day 3 outlook. This is Halloween. And you can see the front kind of gets down here into southeast Texas, and there is a marginal risk. So a marginal is 1 out of 5 risk level
Yeah.
here. And so we can't completely rule out some severe weather on Halloween afternoon and evening, mainly north of the metro, north of Houston. So Austin, kind of northeast towards College Station, Lufkin, and then up along that front. And then it just kind of gets in here and washes out over the weekend. So it's going to be one of those warm and humid weekends with scattered showers with some heating off and on. So, I know people got all kinds of plans this time of year, outside, inside, and everything. And you might get a shower, you might not.
Yeah. And then just mention too that rainy pattern continues through the weekend and into early next week. You have another front approaching on election day, so maybe another reason to consider early voting too, as those rain chances may go up for next Tuesday. And then we have the National Hurricane Center is keeping an eye on what's called Disturbance 1. This has been at 40% for the last couple of days as it moves into the western part of the Caribbean. Very slow developer, if at all. Models are all over the place as far as the direction of this thing, but there's really just not even much to look at on infrared with this system. Very, very disorganized system. Good news is no threat to the U.S. coastal areas. We've got fronts and wind shear and all kinds of ways of blocking this system out. But just a reminder that we do have a little bit about, a month and some change of hurricane season left. And you can see it there on infrared, very disorganized, but does have a chance to develop and become a named storm, depression or named storm over the next 7 days.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens down here. This is, we initially had development kind of right now, today and tomorrow, and that keeps kind of getting pushed back a little bit. And I'm always a little bit leery when the GFS is the one that's kind of showing stuff, because the GFS tends to have a little bit of a bias down here in the southern Caribbean of developing systems. And you can see the upper level winds now ripping across here to the north. So this is, westerly shear here, easily 40, 50, 60 knots. And so there's a area, a nice pocket down here, like is very common this time of year of favorable conditions. But if this thing tries to come northward, it's going to run into this wall of shear, and there's not a lot of consensus really on the ensembles of what's going to happen. A lot of them kind of develop something weak, they drifted around. Some of them get stronger and kind of bring it up towards the Yucatan and Cuba. Others carry it northeast out to sea. So there's just really not a good signal down here yet, and that's why the Hurricane Center has kind of been keeping it around that 40% chance. I mean, it's very possible nothing ever gets going down here. And just if you look at the satellite here, it's starting to become hostile in the Atlantic basin. This is why we start to trend down with developing of tropical storms and hurricanes, because you can just see the wind shear ripping here, and then you also have, pretty much the Gulf of Mexico now is covered with westerly winds and wind shear. So we're getting that fall pattern. Not to mention that cold front that came down through the Gulf, oh, I don't know, 7 days ago, has really cooled down the water temperatures here in the northern Gulf. So we're talking water temperatures in the lower 80s and upper 70s, and so that's borderline threshold for even anything to develop. And so starting to get that fall look here in the Atlantic basin.
Yeah, it seems like all the warm water sea surface temperatures are still down there in the southern Atlantic. But yeah, that's a good point. It did cool off the Gulf. So intertropical convergence zone still looking fairly active, but nothing. There's a little wave there on the west coast of Africa, but nothing that NHC's got their eye on right now. So we are thankfully winding down a very interesting and really bad hurricane season, and not in terms of the numbers, but in terms of the damage that we've seen with these storms, all in the Gulf too. Very, very unique year, and with the early Category 5 with Beryl, lots to talk about there, and we'll be doing that as a program. No, we're working to get back to our old format, trying to line up some interviews for our show, and keep in touch with us. Stay in touch by subscribing and turning on notifications to our YouTube channel, Weather Insights YouTube. Also, we'll be posting blogs on our website so you can read, watch. We've got several different ways for you to get your weather information. Jeff, thank you very much. We'll see you next time.